Morning, everybody, and I want to first and foremost thank you for joining us. One of the greatest things about COVID, and if there were anything that came out about that was good about COVID, was the fact that we now have these tools and technologies that we can get to you guys very quickly and open up lines of communication. And what we're looking to do is try to do this a couple times a month for about a 15-20-minute window to be able to answer any questions that you might have about middle school, where we're going, how we're getting there, or more. If you have any questions about our infrastructure and what we're doing with your kids, now would be the time to be able to ask those questions. So bear with me. People are still trying to get in. I'm trying to do 3 things at once, but I'm pretty good at it, and we're going to have some smooth sailing ahead here in just a moment. All right. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Dean Packard. I am the principal of Charlton Middle School. I'm in my 15th year as principal. Seems like it was just yesterday when I started. CMS is a great place. It's a place that I'm very proud of. We have a great staff, and more importantly, we're in the middle of a great community that is invested heavily in ensuring that their kids get the highest quality education possible. Upstairs to my immediate third floor, I got the assistant principal, Joe Rogalski, with me this morning. Mr. Rogalski, quick introduction.
Thank you, Mr. Packard. Welcome, everyone, to our virtual meet and greet, coffee conversation meeting, our inaugural of the year. Like Mr. Packard, I've been here for 15 years in the district, but 13 of those years have been at Charlton Middle School. Variety of roles, behavior teacher, history teacher, athletic director, team chair, and now the assistant principal. And it's an honor and a privilege to serve the community and to support your kids.
And at any time during our conversation this morning, we'll lead the talk, but in the chat, you can send a message, put it in there as a question you want to ask. If you want to do it live, you can do that as well, whatever you're most comfortable with. So again, I'm very pleased to report out that we had a great first week of school. Transitionally speaking, on the first day, we were able to get kids into homerooms. We were able to get them off in their regular schedule by 8:15 in the morning, which is unheard of. Normally, we got an hour that we have to walk through the process. So the teachers were very well prepared on what to do. And hopefully your kids had come home and said, listen, it was smooth sailing. I can tell you emphatically the first week has been great. The kids, I can see from my lens, had a great opportunity during the summertime to re-regulate themselves, get back to being the kid that they were, and just kind of prepared differently, aside from the COVID world that we're used to. And they've come in with this kind of a sense of belonging and urgency to get back to normal. And, I only see that because I have a different lens of what I look at when I look through this stuff. And I'm hoping that you guys are seeing the same thing when they come home. A couple of very important factors that I want to talk about, communication. We start talking about systems in place that are very important. What we communicate to you is going to be paramount. My leadership team understands that weekly you'll be getting communication from your children's teachers. It could be collectively from the team leader. It could be individually from the teacher. It doesn't really matter as long as systemically we're doing the same thing. From my vantage point, you're going to be getting a weekly thing called the e-news. I'm going to try to keep it very short and brief. But I'll tell you what, because I know the attention span of people is like that. But within that e-news, there's always going to be a tab with resources for you. Use those resources to help guide any questions that you might have, okay? I do have a quick question here from Jennifer. Clarified car drop-off times. The earliest is 7:15. So yes, our teacher contract says that they have to be on duty at 7:25 in the morning. I'd like to tell you that I could watch 700 kids in the morning myself if they get dropped off early, but it's not really the case. If you have extenuating circumstances where your child needs to be dropped off early for whatever reason, please reach out to me and let me know. But generally speaking, the drop-off process for parents, in which parents go first, they're at 7:25 in the morning. We begin to offload. We can do about 50 cars in 5 minutes if parents are aware of the fact that they're supposed to pull all the way up to the old guy standing in the front and not drop off right in front of the school, which we call that the preferred drop-off method for kids, so they don't have to walk that far. I get it. Father of 3, I wouldn't want my kids to walk in the morning either. However, if you pull up, we can get 20 more cars in there. And you know what? The luck of the draw throughout the process, you might be that 15th car on that first day where you get right in front of the school. So that's about the only thing I would say that would make that a little bit smoother. But again, the parent drop-off line should be a lot easier, and it's gotten better. I do know in pickup in the afternoon, Mr. Rogalski is basically in charge of that. But we have the little tags now that go in the windows. You just write your child's name on there, just like at the Heritage School. If you've been there before, it just moves the process along instead of having to ask for the name of the child every single day. So great question. I'm glad I was able to answer that for you. And every day we get a little bit better. Any other questions in regards from parents out there about what's going on? Jennifer, hand is raised. You have the floor. Come on in.
Hi. So I just had two quick questions.
Sure.
So my daughter's in 5th grade.
Welcome.
She did go try to get some breakfast the other day, and she noticed that it was just the 7th and 8th graders in there. So she was a little intimidated and was confused about the breakfast process because the 5th and 6th graders are supposed to go to the auditorium. So could you explain how breakfast works for the 5th and 6th graders?
Absolutely, Mr. Rogalski.
Yep. So because of the drop-off time period, as Mr. Packard said, the 5th and 6th graders go to the auditorium. The 7th and 8th graders go to the cafeteria. Obviously, where we serve food is in the cafeteria. So the 5th and 6th graders there's a side hallway that they can walk down where they're not going through any crowds of people. They go right into the caf, and then it's a quick right into the cafeteria line where they get their breakfast, and then they can sit in the lunch table right in front there. Then when they quickly eat, they can go back to the auditorium if time allows.
And Jennifer, that can be intimidating for a 10-year-old going into a cafeteria. We know that. We do have personnel in there. So we did explain to the kids on the first day that what they would do is just go right down to the cafeteria when they get off the bus, and everybody would have the ability to have breakfast. Just so all of you know on the call, breakfast is free. Lunch is free this year, again, for all kids. So if you want to take advantage of that, I highly recommend that you do. And then we move the kids from there right up to their homerooms if they're having their breakfast at that time.
Okay, and then I just had one other question.
Sure.
I was wondering when the clubs and organizations would be updated on the website.
Yep. So we have trimesters this year. It's a different layout for us. Our person in charge of the clubs is putting it together right now. We also have a $50,000 grant between Dudley Middle School and Charlton Middle School, and Mr. Starcheski and I are putting together some unique opportunities for kids. So I would say we'll be up and running by the end of September. We go for 10 weeks. So it should be perfect timing. We'll have at least 3 sections of those clubs that'll take off and go. So the first couple of weeks, again, is getting acclimated back to school, getting your feet on the ground, understanding the academic rigor, and then looking at the experiences from that lens. But everything will be coming your way. You'll get all that information in my weekly Express, my weekly e-news. The Express goes to my staff. I'm sorry. So use that as a reference. So don't just delete it. Go back to it often. Sometimes I will add things during the week. So if you just kind of put a star next to it just to remind yourself to check that out. And if we do try to add anything, perhaps what I can do is just send out a quick text message to everybody, say check the e-news for an update, just so you guys will know that it happened. I hope that helps.
I don't want you to do that on my accord, but I would say just use your judgment because, to be honest, I'm not sure how to make it. Not a problem. I just can't find Mike and Lynn either. Okay, deal.
Okay. Well, each week it will go out. I'll resend it so you'll have opportunity to see it in there. But the question's a valid one. I got another question that just popped up here. When will the signups be for cross country, the 5th graders? I'm hoping that next week we'll have that. I'm still looking for a cross country coach. If any of you on this call have the credentials to want to be part of a high octane walking club with some speedy kids, let me know. Definitely give you an opportunity to be part of it. But we're still looking for that coach, and it's going to be Mr. Rogalski and me if nobody else does this. So we will not let the experience go by without having the kids have that. But if anybody knows somebody out there who has a little time on their schedule and wants to get involved and help out, have them email me directly. That'd be wonderful. I'll put that in my e-news this week going out as well, that we're looking for a little support. That it is a stipend position if somebody wants it. Okay. So tossing that out there right now, but we will have it. We won't get started until sometime next week. Great question. Thank you, Brittany. Let's talk about some handbook changes for this year. Okay. We talked briefly about that with all the kids. Mr. Rogalski and I do what's called a town hall session. We bring all the kids together for a conversation each month to ensure they're calibrated with learning expectations and behavioral expectations. And it's really good because it gives us an opportunity to be a coach. And we try to make sure they understand that their journey is filled with a lot of excitement and that they have a lot of support. And we, as the adults in the building, we're a resource for all of them. And that's the way we have to have them look at us. We want to make sure that they can access us, that they can ask us any questions that they have, and more importantly, that they have the tools to be successful. So we talked today, and I talked about briefly about, the issue of hats. So our school committee did allow students to wear hats in school, and that's not a big deal, and that's okay. Sometimes a hat is not going to change. Well, not sometimes. It's not going to change the trajectory of a learner, the kids. That doesn't really matter. What I do tell the kids is this, and I'm very specific with it. There's a difference between hats and hoods. If somebody has a hood on their head, I can't identify who that child is. So in the middle of the stairwell, or when they're walking and they have a hood on their head, I say absolutely not. We're not going to go down that road. And the other thing we talk to them about is they can't come in with a sombrero and sit in the front row and disturb the learning for everybody else. So as your child is leaving in the morning with a hat on his or her head, we're okay with that, but we just wanted them to understand the difference between wearing a hat because they want to, because it makes them feel comfortable, or wearing a hat because they want to cause a little bit of a disruption to the learning environment. Listen, they're kids. There's give and take with everything, and we want them to have a voice to the highest level that they can, but we have to make sure that we steer them in the right direction. So what else do we have? Okay, so I told you we have trimesters. I hope that you guys have been able to access the community portal. That's something that's going to be very important for you to keep up with your child's academic progress. I highly recommend that you continue to reach out and have communication with your child's teachers, things of that nature. There's nothing better than knowing exactly what's going on. And that's one of the reasons why we have set up the overall communication platform from a systemic point of view, so everybody's getting the same thing. Questions from the parent gallery. Coffee is there. Thank you, Brian, for bringing the coffee today.
No worries.
Appreciate it. So, for us, this is simple. We do this every day. So we want to make sure that if you guys have anything in the back of your mind that you want to kind of unlock and unpack, that we're here and we're accessible for you. So I'm trying to think of something else that might be pressing at this time, and there really isn't. I'm super proud of the kids, and the parents in the community. We get it. We're in this together. This is a village mentality. We want to make sure that those experiences are great, that your kids know that they have support. I will say this. I'll talk about this for a second. I talk about the kids. Every 2 weeks, the kids will get an email from me. It'll be something motivational. It'll be something to help them keep on their journey as we do those checks along the way. We also have what's called the student support tab. In that tab, if a child clicks on it and they're struggling, it goes right to our adjustment counselors, Mr. Rogalski, our school psychologist, our nurse, or myself. So for 24/7, if a child's having a struggle, they get access to us. So then we pull them in, and it's a very quiet way for them to be able to express themselves in the moment. And then we, inside that tab, so we have an immediate need factor. Like a 1 means it's not bad. If it's a 5, it's like, I need now. Like, right, give me a call this moment because I'm struggling with something. And that's a way that we want to make sure that kids feel comfortable. And that's open for them for 24/7. I know I check it 24/7. I can't speak for councils on the weekends, but at the end of the day, the more we know and the more we get in front of a child's needs, the better the learning is for them overall. Mr. Rogalski, you want to talk a little bit about discipline? Okay, before he goes there, discipline does not have to be punitive. Discipline is an opportunity for us to help kids make corrective choices. And I'm going to start it there because we're going to talk a little bit about restorative practices, what that looks like, and also from the lens of progressive discipline. We're not looking to have a gotcha every time a child gets in trouble. We look to have conversations. And those conversations lend to different habits that be formed for kids. So, Mr. Rogalski, why don't you talk about that for a second?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Packard. You use the word discipline. We really want to start using, the term accountability, because that's a broader lens. We do believe in, progressive accountability at the teacher level. They definitely want to, through their redirections, engagement, good classroom management, keep your kids engaged. From there, that's where the teachers will start having student-teacher conferences with your child to inform them what they're doing. From there, they could reach out to you. They'll start having parent contacts. We do weekly progress reports for your child if we want. Parent-teacher conferences as well, in person or virtual. Obviously, detentions is part of that progression as well. If it comes to my desk or Mr. Packard's desk, we also believe in progressive accountability, where, first we'll have a conversation with them, talk about how to problem solve, how to troubleshoot, how to listen to the good voice in your head. But we also believe in Mr. Packard's sort of justice or restorative practice. So instead of a consequence, we will give them a commitment back to their learning environment. So that commitment will be simple tasks: to be a student teacher helper, for the next week, pass out all of the student supplies, the classroom supplies, clean the whiteboard, update the homework board, hold doors for your classmates, We have I have some kids in the cafeteria after the morning, clean up the caf, wipe down some tables, after lunch as well, just again, to be committed to their building. Restorative practice kind of shies away from you broke a rule, therefore you get punished, but more along the lines of you disrespected someone and you need to learn from that interaction. So that's what we do. We implemented it a lot last year, and I feel, and the school feels, it had a lot of great dividends, and it's shown going into this year. The kids coming back this year, they're more regulated, and they have a much more sense of pride, a sense of belonging, and a sense of responsibility towards the school in itself, the brick and mortar part of it, and also the person-to-person part of it as well.
You know, Mr. Rogalski talked about, the sense of belonging. One of the things that I've really come to realize over the years and looking at adolescent development, the only thing that every child wants is to feel like they fit in, that they have that place in our school. And we, as the adults in this school, we have to understand we're not in the curriculum business, we're in the people business. And what I mean by that is relationships before content is one of the most important things that we have, and we have to do that. You put 20 kids, 22 kids in a class, and you see a child that is just not connecting. That's not the way that we want to roll. We want to make sure that every child has that equitable experience to learn. And if a child likes a teacher, if a child likes an administrator, if a child likes his or her environment, guess what? They thrive. They open up. They allow us to do our job at a high level. And those are the things that we really pride ourselves on from the lens where we sit, whether it's in the morning that we're out there waving hi to parents and meeting every kid when they get off the bus, or in the lunchroom sitting with them, finding out what's going on during the day, or even during transition times where we're just in the hallways to ensure that they're just not being overly kids to each other. And you know what I mean by that, because in the moment, kids can go from 0 to 100 in a matter of a second and not realize, because what they don't have is they don't have a filter, and that filter doesn't allow them to really think deeply about some of their actions that they do. And the more that we're aware of that, the better it is for them overall. We never want to be that school with 100 suspensions or just so many detentions. It just, nobody wins when you do that. So again, when we start thinking about discipline and helping kids grow, there's got to be purpose to it. There's got to be meaning to it. And, those are one of the things we think about. And just because we call you, it doesn't have to be that call that says, oh, it's the principal, the assistant principal. Our job is partnership with you guys. Oftentimes, if there's a situation that calls for a heavy level of discipline, we'll talk to you about that. We'll ask you what your thoughts are. Because generally speaking, if a child's having some of those issues here in school, they're probably having the same issues at home. So we come collectively around in a full circle here to make sure that we wrap that blanket around them and move forward. Questions? Talked a lot. I don't like doing this. I like it, but I can brag about the school all day long. It's probably something. Oh, we got some more people coming in. Okay, great. Welcome, Amy. Okay. Any other questions about the opening of school and things that you want to know? We have about 9 minutes left on this call. And we're going to use the 9 minutes. I'm going to use it. Okay. If you have to drop off because you've heard enough, that's absolutely fine. But from my question to you guys, your kids are coming home. Anybody want to share about the experience that your kids are saying about school? Don't be shy. I'll take it. It's 100%.
Question on
Go ahead, Kate.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
Good. The school supplies, why do they get their supply list on the first day of school? What's the purpose behind that? Because it's a little bit frustrating to try to find the school supplies as of the first day of school.
Sure. I would, first of all, would love to know if the school supplies are something that is like a big thing. We provide basically everything for kids. What I tell parents from the supply side of things, get some single subject notebooks and have pens and pencils. Those are really the only supplies you need. When it comes to pocket organizations, folders and things of that nature, we provide those for kids. So if you want to disclose to me, maybe in an email, I can go back and check with the teachers, but hopefully it's not something that's overbearing.
Gotcha.
Okay. And if it is overbearing, please let me know. I'd like to think I got my finger on the pulse of everything that's going out of the school, but we can always have those talks about how we can make a parent's life a little bit easier. But that's a very good question, Kate. Thank you very much. We had somebody had their hand up, and we go back here. Where did it go? Was it Mike? You don't have to put your hand up. Just come on in. Yeah, go ahead. Mike? Mr. Kaczynski? This is M. Kaczynski. Go ahead, Mike. All right. Try it again. Iris, why don't you go? Well, Mr. Kaczynski is figuring out the microphone. I love the etiquette. It's such a small group that you can just jump on and just throw it up there. Go ahead, Iris. You just have to unmute yourselves, guys. Okay, Mike, go ahead. Is it Mike?
It's Mary Beth, but that's okay.
Mary Beth, far from Mike. Boy, look at that. I'm 0 for 1 today.
That's all right. You pronounced the last name correctly. You're doing something right.
All right.
So my son is in 5th grade, and
Yep.
he was nervous / excited. And I just
Okay.
want to say that the level of communication and accessibility by your staff team is incredible, and he feels so comforted by it. So I just want to extend a thank you, because it really makes a huge difference in the adjustment process. It's just fantastic. Thank you.
Mary Beth, thank you for sharing that
Thank
out.
you.
I apologize for calling you Mike. And thank you. And that's going to continue. And let me know the good feedback is also welcome, because I share that out with my team. And obviously it shows validation for a job well done. So thank you for sharing that out. Iris, you're up.
Hi, good morning. My name is Iris Johnson. My son is new in the school. I apologize for my accent. I know I speak perfect English, but I try to explain.
No problem. Welcome.
Okay. Yesterday I picked up my son David 1 o'clock, but I concerned because the lady, I thinking is the secretary, don't ask me for the ID, for see who I am to come in to pick up my son. This is only, the somebody can come into the door, ask for some child, and no ask for ID.
So
For
we do normally ask for an ID. Did you do the registration process with that secretary?
No, I call in the morning and I ring the door and I say that I come and pick up David. But, I had ready my license card, all my ID.
Yep.
But, ask me on, this is, for me, it's a little bit weird. More the situation nowadays is really not safe.
What you're saying is 100% correct. Generally speaking, did your child come down and meet you in the main office?
No, in the door. She coming out
At
for
the
the
door.
door. He's
Okay.
in a middle school now.
Correct. Yep.
But for safe, I thinking some teacher can coming out with him and see who people coming to pick up the child. I don't know. This is my opinion. It's because there's so many stuff around. The crazy things happen.
Yep.
I think it's better they ask show the ID and and the video cameras, because I see it's cameras there.
Yes. Yep. Did they ask who you were when you came to the door?
Nope.
Nothing. Huh.
Nope.
Okay. All right. I will speak with my secretaries. They hold the key to anybody that comes to that camera. So your point is well taken. We take safety as a very high priority. So let me dig into that a little bit, Iris, and I will ensure that we'll become a little tougher in regards to who comes to the door. We generally don't let students out if they're not comfortable and they don't know who that person is. So understood. I'm glad you brought that up. I think it's a fair thing to say. And rest assured that all of our doors are locked. Kids can't get in, can't get out. Well, they can get out. Nobody can get in without hitting that door. And we generally do a very good job of screening people when they come. But I'll make sure I review that process with both of the key holders to that door. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much.
And welcome to Charlton Middle School.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Anybody else, folks? We've got 21 on the call. Let me just see. It looks like we have another message in the chat. From Amy, Grady Green is excited to get back to school each day. You all make it easy. Thank you, Amy. We've gone along a long time with the journey together. So thank you so much for the positive comment. And we have here, can we clarify the procedure for the kids to talk with the guidance counselor? My daughter wanted to talk with hers, but said needs an appointment. Okay, over the first couple days, again, we're working on kids getting acclimated. The kids, I said this earlier, you may have been on the call or not. On the 15th and the 1st, they'll always get an email from me. In the email that I sent to them, there's a tab. It's called the Student Support tab. And all they do is they register for their counselor at any time if they want to meet with somebody. And it's done in a very anonymous way. And they can talk about the level of the need that they got to get in there and what the basis part of their problem is. And then we schedule with our guidance counselors in that capacity. And that allows kids not to have to come down to the main office around their peers, gives them free access 24/7 to any adjustment counselor that we have. And more importantly, it's really 24/7 to me because it goes off on my phone every time somebody puts one in there. So, and then they can message me at any time if that helps out. And that was from Paul. I hope I clarified that question for you. Okay, we're at 9:27. You guys have been a great audience. Anything else that I can help you with for clarification purposes? Well, we're going to try to do this maybe twice a month if we can. A quick hit. I'll make sure the links are in the e-news like they were before, and we want to hear from you. And I'll probably add a feedback link to our weekly e-news if there's something that's pressing, and I can use those as topics of discussion every time we come up for coffee and conversation. Does that work for everybody? All right, guys.
Good.
Thank you so much for joining us. We'll keep this line of communication open, and we want to hear from you. So we want to make these years very special for both you and your kids. So thank you so much. Have a great weekend, and I'll stay on if somebody wants to talk to me or Mr. Rogalski, but feel free to leave and go back to work, get another cup of coffee, do whatever you got to do.
Have a great weekend, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.